Five, four, three, two, one. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Friday is cleanup day, so we're going to loop back a little to stories you may have missed earlier in the week. And here we go. So first, I'd like to loop over. Good morning in Phoenix. I'd like to loop over to BIGtech. There was big news this week because IBM, Amazon, and Microsoft announced they're moving away from facial recognition. But there's more to the story, of course. First of all, let's take IBM. IBM said it's not going to develop it anymore. Well, the truth is they hadn't developed it anyway. They developed some other things for crime use, for police use. Okay, so it's supplying departments with crime predicting AI, like the Minority Report, if you've ever seen that. Heaven help us. Okay, Bezos announced that it would put a one-year moratorium on police use of its facial recognition software, encouraging Congress to pass regulation. Microsoft said the same thing, kind of. It won't supply facial recognition until the police have a national law in place grounded in human rights, which, of course, there's a sort of inherent denial of your right to privacy. Is there a right to privacy? That's one of the questions we don't ask very often. In what universe is there a right to privacy? I was raised by the nuns in Catholic school, and they told me God sees. Furthermore, Santa Claus sees. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. And I have always said the internet sees. So when you're thinking of sending that tweet or that email or something else that could be traced directly back to you, just remember that your grandma who's passed away could see that over your shoulder, looking down on you. So I don't know where this right to privacy comes from. I mean, I think it's a nice idea, but we know the universe watches, and the pagans and the Hindus, I think, believe in karma. So it's not going to work. So while denying human rights of privacy, they're going to go ahead. And Microsoft would also support legislation that goes ahead. But here's the real bottom line on the whole thing, if you've been listening to this stuff. Police aren't likely to access this tech anytime soon. More than 45 companies offer real-time facial recognition. By real-time, I mean, you could go into a crowd with the glasses, or you could have a camera up on a pole. And some of the most powerful of them, like Clearview AI, the best of the best, are forging ahead. And we all know what will happen. What will happen is they'll be the top three, and if these big techs are serious, they'll just buy them up. They'll buy them up for $1 billion, save a lot of money in development time. The founders will do really well, and off we'll go. Okay, so all PR. Okay, this was an interesting article from My Total Retail. Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. Oops. You got to be careful how you highlight. You think this is easy? How retailers are using card linking technology. First, I had to ask, well, what the heck is card linking technology? But Ashley started at a different place, and she said customer loyalty has been on the decline. I don't see any statistics on that. I've always argued that CRM was a myth. There is no relationship. If your store starts saying you've got to wear a mask, but the next store down says be careful, keep some distance, puts up plexiglass for the cashiers. I don't think the dollar store even does that. I don't think Aldi's does either. I don't remember it. But, if you get better prices, more convenience, it's a teeny store that has everything you've ever wanted. I don't have a relationship with I have a relationship with the guy who runs the Piggly Wiggly and the butcher, but not with the store. If those guys are gone, I don't know. I'll probably still go there. It's relatively convenient. Okay, so retailers with this card linking can leverage their most critical asset, customer data. It's funny because I worked with Dominic's Finer Foods, one of the biggest grocery chains in Chicago Metro. And I talked with the CFO, and he said, we started gathering our customer purchase information from the loyalty cards, the UCROP system invented in Virginia. And I said, well, what are you doing with all that data? I said, the problem you've got is you put ads in the newspaper, price ads, coupons, and you do that, and you're over rewarding your customers, you're eroding your margins, and you're not doing enough to engage your competitors or fight with your competitors over your non-customers. I said, what you should be doing is offering specific deals to the customers in the neighborhood who aren't buying from you. Fix that one. And he said, well, how could you do that? I said, well, direct mail. Well, it turns out that, not that it can't happen. My hardware store sends me direct mail stuff every now and then. And it should. And that should be one of the main tools in the arsenal of the local retailer. But, they think, oh, geez, that's so expensive. Well, it'd be better to take some of that ad budget and move it toward direct mail targeted to the non-customer in the neighborhood. You can do that. It's not that hard with your scanner data. So 1988, Dominic's was collecting that scanner data. We never did anything with it. They said, we don't really know what to do with it. We're selling it to Procter & Gamble and to the other manufacturers so they know how much of their product is selling in our stores. And that's pretty much all that grocery stores have done with it, even though they have massive lifetime value in the sense that, I spend maybe $5,000 a year with that grocery store. So there's a lot of upside potential. But the fact is, if there's basically no grocery stores using the data they have, how do we call it the most critical asset, the most valuable asset, customer data? It's not worth it unless you do something with it, and they're not, okay? Now, could they upload addresses of their neighborhood to Google Ad Network or to Facebook? Yeah, they could. And they could suppress their existing customers, but I'm just telling you, they don't. So what this does is it links credit card to a merchant's loyalty program. And all it really does is it eliminates your little pig card. Beep. You know how it goes through the scanner? You don't have to do that. I like doing that. It's the only thing I get to check out anymore. They let me scan my pig card. But it also works offline or online out of store, which is good. And that's how we ran the Love Sack program. We ran it on credit card data. It's not that hard to do. You can do it. There's a lot of ways you can do it if you have an ERP system that actually captures that. It's more about capturing it at the checkout than it is about any new technology. So anyway, interesting article. Okay, Elon Musk needs to get over his hatred of advertising. Mark Ritson says last night, which was probably last Friday, Tesla became the world's biggest auto company by marketing capitalization, 179 billion net worth. Oh my goodness. And James Danforth bought Tesla shares. He owns 850 of them, which is worth about close to $1 million. And Danforth is going to propose that they start advertising. Tesla claims to despise advertising, and he will use that money to make the product great. There's no CMO, no external agencies, no in-house marketing. For much of the long, successful history, the company claimed to employ only 7 marketers. And Musk himself, the founder and CEO, is the epitome of the brand. Yeah, we all know that. And I kind of get a kick out of Elon. At least he bets on America. He's from South Africa, I think, and he came here and he did what he did, and he shows what a great country we have. And people want to be part of it, okay? And there's never been a shortage of people wanting to talk about his product. Plus, he uses some traditional brand playbook. He's got the Roadster, which is like the big news item, the premium, mythical, crazy car. And So you build the dream with the Roadster and make your money from the Model 3, and focus the attention on the brand, and also sister brands like SpaceX, Neuralink, and Boring Company give him plenty of publicity. And if you watch that SpaceX where the rocket booster comes back to Earth, that is smoking cool. Okay, stores are the company's, Tesla's long said stores are the company's advertising media, but he went from 500 down to 200. Was going to close them all. And they're just showrooms. They're not sales offices at all. So now he's closed more than half of those, and so Danforth argues that it's necessary. And he suggests that you spend at least $50 per car. Why is this important? And Ritson's absolutely right on this. It would drive brand value, remove fear, compensate for decreased retail profile of the company, and push the environmental agenda close to Elon's heart. The $170 billion is not just comparable to Ford, Honda, Nissan, and BMW. It's worth more than all of them put together. And so you can't just continue this. If you wanted to boil down the very essence of this, let's say a Tesla costs $50,000. I don't know, Model 3. I don't know what they cost, but let's just say, I think it's less than that. But let's say $50,000. Okay, so that's what they retail for. So let's say their real cost is 15, which would be about 1/4. Okay, $15,000. $50 spent on better X, whatever X is. Better leather, better plastic, better viewing screen. $50 is lost in the $1,500 or in the $15,000 cost of the car. It's just lost. The customer will not. If you put a car that was absolutely the way they build them, and another car next to it that had a $50 savings somewhere in the connectors or the wiring or something, a $50 savings in that cost of manufacturing would be imperceptible. I'm not saying you should keep that process going. Sears used to do that. They'd contract with a manufacturer, and they'd say, okay, we're going to be 60% of your business. And when they got to 60%, they would say, now cheapen it up a little. Take out that high quality motor and put one in with no bearings. Or, take out those high quality belts and put in cheaper belts. Well, it adds up after a while, and people started to figure out that Kenmore was no longer a quality brand. It was a Sears brand, and Sears didn't stand for quality anymore, and, look where they've come. I mean, they did it to themselves. So you can't just keep that going infinitely. Or you take a standard car and you add $50 worth of higher quality in it. People, 99 out of 100 aren't going to be able to tell you the difference at all. And I'm not saying if you pointed it out to them, they might not even be able to tell the difference, and they might not even like it better. I have leather seats, and in the winter they're cold. Luckily, I got seat heaters, and they warm up. But if they didn't, and 2 cars ago they didn't, and mine didn't work, and I changed a fuse after after I was going to sell it, and there was something else. Put the new fuse in, and it worked. After I got rid of it, my daughter said, "Hey, that works." I said, "It never did for me." Oh well. But anyway, so if you don't have the seat heater working, you might want to go with non-leather seats. They're much more comfortable, just as an example. So you save in 2 ways. You save the cost of the heater, and you save the cost of the leather. And so I'm just saying that the $50 lets you do these things. It lets you say to everyone, Tesla is not wobbly. It's big. And one of the interesting things about mail, and that would be a great place to start, would be mail for Tesla. If you remember, the Infiniti came out with a big mailing program in the beginning because they wanted to target the buyers who really were in the market for a luxury car and go head to head with Mercedes and BMW and Lexus. And so mail gives a tangible credibility to a company that is lost on mass media for the most part, but that isn't part of the article. The mere fact that you were, this is a funny one, the mere fact that you are up on the big screen paying top dollar for media tells consumers that you are big and stupid and rich enough to do this, and they should be big and stupid and rich enough to buy one of your cars. This is one of the greatest lines ever. This is the point of advertising. And Tesla, I know you believe in capitalism. Karl Marx hated the idea of capitalism. He was like all in. Reinvest in the product. The problem is communist countries, because they generally have monopolies, don't reinvest in the product. They make a crappy product. It's like the Kenmore story on steroids, and you're stuck with it. And you can't complain to the government, because if you complain, it's illegal. But going on, organic media only gets you so far. That is the myth of influencer marketing and all the rest of this stuff, that it's going to break through. It doesn't break through, because it does. I don't see it for the most part. I don't read vast majority of my emails, and I don't go to your site, because why would I, right? So you've got no push, and without push, products aren't differentiated. This advertising would allow him to differentiate his products. Plus, you're not going to live forever. Elon, you're going to need to move past, which Apple did successfully. Big brands spend more on ads and get more impact from those ads, because their existing share of mind and share of shelf garner a superior response. You've already got that share of mind, but it's cheaper in the long run. It's cheaper and less dangerous than trying to manipulate the press, which you've done so well. Okay? So 80, advertising is your best defense. Iconic advertising kept Apple going. It stops anyone else from climbing to your level, because there's going to be competitors like crazy, right? It also lets you charge a more premium price, because it calls out the benefits of your car versus other cars, right? Even without spending that $50, I got to believe you got some better engineering. Watch that SpaceX booster land. Jeff Bezos in 2018 changed his mind. Jeff Bezos decided to spend $14 billion and never advertised. Agreed with you 100%. Outdoor, radio, Super Bowl. He even appeared in one of them, and seems to be working out for him. And in fact, should have done more mail. They do a little mail. Have a great day. I'm John Miglosh. Like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. Bye-bye.